Hello, this is Photography Gamer, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Sons of the Forest on the PC. Sons of the Forest is a survival game developed by End Night Games. You play as a mercenary on a mission to rescue a missing family. The mission sees you end up on an island where you've got to gather resources, craft and build to survive. The game can be played solo or in online co-op. Right, so what's it like to play? Well, being a survival game, you've got to eat, drink and rest to survive. At the beginning, you will be scavenging for anything that you can find, from soda cans to energy bars or even bottles of vodka. Resource gathering forms a huge part of the game, and once you've gathered enough items, you can start to craft things. Now, in terms of crafting, it's one of the best and most seamless systems that you will ever find in a game. All your crafting takes place on an in-game mat where you can see all of the things that you've gathered. To craft, you simply take an item and place it in the center. Then when you've added enough suitable items, you can create a combination and then craft it. Whether that's a Molotov cocktail, wooden arrows or different types of armor, it's a beautifully streamlined and immersive and very simple process. So you've survived a day, you've made some items, you've explored a little, then comes one of the key parts of Sons of the Forest. To build a base you need logs, lots and lots of logs. Thankfully, trees are not in short supply, and even the process of chopping down a tree is really satisfying. As you take your axe to the tree bark time and time again, you'll see little small chunks of tree fall away. Then it's time to carry these logs to the base location and start your build. Now, building, it's another part of the game that's almost perfectly implemented. There are two types of building: prefabricated structures and manual builds. Prefabs, they let you choose a structure from a guidebook, then you place that skeleton structure on the floor, and all you've got to do is populate it with the resources it requires. The second method is a more challenging one, but ultimately it's much more rewarding. The second building menu shows you how to build one item at a time, and building this way it feels more realistic. It also allows for more creative ideas and has to be, for me, it's my favourite building system that I've ever had in one of these survival games. Like, you can place a log on the floor, then you can interconnect it to build a floor frame, or you can pile 6 logs on top of each other to build a wall, or even just use your axe to cut out a doorway or a window in that wall if you change your mind. So you've survived a few days, you've crafted some items, you've started building a base. Now comes the interesting part: dealing with the locals. All that noise you've been making, chopping down trees, eventually it's going to get somebody's attention, and the locals, they are a bizarre collection of oddballs, freaks and extras from the Hills of Eyes. It's not like other games where enemies see you and they run directly towards you to attack. They're a lot more sneaky here. The AI is very interesting. They'll stalk you, they'll watch you. It really keeps you on your toes. But inevitably you will get into a fight, and once that war starts, it never ends, my god. Over time they just keep coming back for more. They try and capture you, they try and kill you, they attack your friends, and they adapt to your tactics. They come back with better armor. It's very interesting. I'd say combat, it's okay. You know, you've got melee, you've got ranged, you can craft things or find things that can be used for those. But I would say the game does have a bit of an issue with death. Sons of the Forest doesn't auto-save the game, so you've got to manually save every time. You can only do this at a bed, so you've got to craft one. Now, if an enemy kills you, they'll take you to a camp and they'll tie you up, but you can break free. But if you get killed again, soon after that, with low health, the game will be over and it's permadeath. So you've really got to make sure that you manually save a lot, otherwise you're just going to have a lot of repetition. One thing that I found quite disappointing in terms of the combat was the armor that you can craft. Most of this armor, it's really not even worth crafting as it wears out quicker than candy floss in water. Now, this endless stream of cannibal attacks, it can be quite demoralising as they smash up your base, but thankfully you are not alone. You've got some AI buddies to keep you company. Kelvin is one of your allies, he's deaf, so you've got to tell him what to do with these little handwritten notes, and he can help you get resources, he can help you build things, and he gives you a little warning when there's incoming attacks. The other AI steals the show. It's this mysterious blonde lady who comes from the woods, and slowly but surely you'll kind of make friends with her in this sort of non-verbal, very sort of endearing way. Now these AIs, you can give them new outfits, you can give them weapons if you want to help with the kind of fighting the cannibals, and it definitely, for a solo player, it's a really good move. It helps you feel less alone. Now in terms of the game world, it's vast, it's forested, it's got dynamic weather, it's got seasonal climate changes. You know, all these things do keep you on your toes in terms of survival. Thankfully you have a really useful GPS. This highlights points of interest on the map, and that is really integral if you do actually want to complete the story. Now the island, it's bigger than in the previous game. For me, I would say this is one of the few negatives of Sons of the Forest. Having a bigger island only results, really, in longer walking sections from A to B. It doesn't really add value to the game, it just adds walking time. Now finally on gameplay, let's talk about the story. To say it's a vague fetch quest on a forest filled with freaks, I would say that's a fair summary. The story felt quite thin, and in particular the end sequence. The end was so abrupt, it just sort of sprung on you, and you think there was no real major lead up to it or no real major foreshadowing. Now I hope this gets fleshed out, otherwise it might disappoint people who expect a sort of satisfactory resolution. For me, I played it for, how long was it, about 38.3 hours on Steam to complete it, and you know, for a £25 game, it's pretty good value, and there's a lot more gameplay there if you want to get into base building. However, I would say if you played The Forest, you can definitely whiz through this game very quickly, as structurally it's almost identical. In terms of graphics, the game world and the characters, they're nice enough. It's not a game visually that will blow you away, but it captures the essence of survival and horror in its visual presentation. But again, it's early access, so it means that it does have glitches in the environment. Some of the textures were missing, some of the AI characters get stuck on the environment, but I hope these get patched out soon. Okay, the audio, well, I'd say it's excellent. It's very unsettling in terms of the sound effects, in terms of the cannibal AI voices, the ambient sounds, the environmental elements. It's very immersive. Voice acting though, non-existent almost, and the voice acting I did hear, it kind of felt like they just got someone's friend in on the cheap to do it. It's really not very good. It may just be placeholders, they may be replacing it, I don't know, but yeah, not that impressive to be perfectly honest. Okay, good and bad points. What's good? It's one of the most addictive survival games you'll ever play. It has the best crafting and building systems in any survival game. It's scary as hell with very good AI and grotesque enemies. Survival isn't too obtuse in terms of eating and drinking, meaning that you can enjoy it a bit more compared to harsher ones like in the genre. And it's also a great game for solo survivalists with the added AI buddies. They give you this, a little bit of companionship. Bad points: the island is too big with few points of interest, the story needs fleshing out as does the ending, it's a bit of a carbon copy of the first game, and this structure could have used some freshening up, and the manual save / permadeath system is a bit annoying at first. So what's the verdict? Sons of the Forest continues the excellent work of the previous game. It has a wonderful crafting and building system that allows really creative minds to conjure all sorts of wonderful base designs. The enemies are grotesque, they're weird, exploring the dark caves is as terrifying as it was before, so yeah, I would say it's a good sequel. It doesn't really improve the game though, it's almost like a carbon copy with a few extra bits, but structurally pretty identical. It doesn't really offer a different experience to the forest, like you crash on an island, you have to find somebody, that involves exploring, finding underground caves and facilities, and then leaving. Very similar indeed. But saying that, for me the Forest was the best survival game that I'd ever played, so to make a sequel on a par with that is not a bad thing. I would just say I'd hoped that they would have mixed up the structure a bit more rather than just replicating it. So think of it more like a continuation than any sort of evolution of the franchise, and in summary, I really enjoyed it during my 40 hours or so of play. It's amazing if you like building bases, it's great if you're a fan of horror, but if you're expecting something fresh compared to the first game, then you might be disappointed. I would recommend it even in its early access state. It's very playable, it's very addictive, and as I said, at £25 it's amazing value for money. Okay, my score for Sons of the Forest, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Okay, that was the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, or join the channel. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.